It's a cornerstone to our democracy, free and fair elections.
There's wrongdoing, and it's not acceptable.
Tonight, a focus on a small election with a big controversy.
There's a whole bunch of controversy over what happened on May 5th, Election Day.
Okay.
Did you bring some ballots to the district office?
I can't answer that question.
Denver 7 Investigates has spent several months digging into accusations of election fraud in a small metro community.
Chief investigative reporter Tony Kowaleski takes us inside the battle for power.
I believe the election absolutely was not handled properly. I have no doubt about it.
This is a story about two candidates.
Tony, this comes down to what's the full story?
A story about 33 mysterious late arriving ballots.
It is my hope that your influence and your spotlight will be enough to attract the attention needed to expose the truth of those 33 ballots.
And the truth about the two candidates just might surprise you.
So you won by 4 votes.
I won by 4 votes.
Essentially, you lost by 6 votes.
I had 658 supporters.
Two different outcomes, but both share that same uneasy feeling that something was just not right.
Does this election pass your smell test?
No, it doesn't pass my test.
There's wrongdoing, and it's not acceptable.
Hi there. My name is Tony. I work at Channel 7.
Oh, and one other important point. This is also a story about the integrity of a veteran postal carrier whose credibility is in question regarding those 33 ballots. We will hear from her later. The setting for this election and this controversy is underneath these beautiful trees. It's about 27 miles from downtown Denver. Underneath the Pretty and the Pines, Castle Pines Village, one of the metro area's most affluent zip codes.
I'm saying that there was clear manipulation, ballot stuffing.
Steve Long knows the law. He's an attorney hired by Cynthia Cerny.
The 33 ballots, I believe those were put in on the last day in order to cause the election to have an outcome that wasn't the real outcome.
After the election back in May, Long sent this 2-page letter to the board accusing the Castle Pines Metro District of election fraud. He says it may have prevented Cynthia Cerny from winning a seat on the board.
The top of that letter says election fraud. Is that what you believe?
Yes.
It's a strong word. What's it mean to you?
Wrongdoing, rigging, ballot stuffing, a lack of transparency.
Which brings us to those 33 mysterious ballots and the unanswered question, where did they come from? According to this investigation report requested by the board and conducted after the election, a postal carrier dropped off the ballots. The ballots did not have stamps, and the report says the postal person allowed the receptionist to put stamps on the ballots so they could be accepted.
How come there's not a camera showing like who arrives at the front entrance? That would seem like it would be important.
Denver 7 Investigates reviewed security camera video from inside the district office.
She hands them over to the lady in the green.
The hallway camera shows an employee handing over a bunch of ballots. But here's what's interesting. None of the security cameras inside or outside the building show the ballots getting dropped off. And the one camera that could have shown the postal carrier delivering the ballots, the camera at the front door, well, for some unexplained reason, that wasn't working.
The investigative report, it indicates that they were ballots dropped off by the post office, which were not postmarked. U.S. Post Office procedures would not permit that, so I know that's baloney.
What he's saying is if you believe this report, a postal carrier delivering ballots without stamps and without getting processed through the post office would be a postal violation by the postal carrier. Which brings us back to that Roadside interview.
You realize they're investigating this, right?
Yes, which is why we can't speak about it.
Okay.
You guys have to speak to lawyers.
She's the postal carrier accused of delivering the unstamped, unprocessed 33 questionable ballots.
Can you tell me, did you do anything wrong?
You'll have to talk to the lawyers. I can't answer the question.
When we first approached her, it was clear she was advised to not answer questions. But for some unknown reason, She wanted to set the record straight.
Do you find it unusual that they're kind of blaming you?
Absolutely. I think it's unusual they're blaming the Postal Service, period. I've worked for the Postal Service for 22 years, never had a ballot problem ever. Never.
You look like somebody who follows the rules.
Yes. Well, I've worked here for 22 years. I've never done anything wrong.
I'd like you to watch this video.
We brought that interview back to one-time candidate and current board member Tad Walden.
Does that video raise questions about the integrity of the election?
It raises questions about the integrity of the stack of ballots that were received on May 5th. It taints them. That would include me being elected.
It was an election where 22 votes separated all 4 candidates. Walden was one of 2 winners. Cynthia Cerny was one of 2 not elected.
The president of the board, the person responsible for elections, they don't want to answer my questions. They don't want to see this video. What does that say?
I get that they don't want another controversy, and neither do I. But if this is true, then this needs to be dealt with. We need an honest discussion as to what took place. We need to know the truth about those ballots.
In responding to that letter sent by Cynthia Cerny's attorney, the attorney for the board denied any election fraud or any election improprieties. But when asked if we could review those 33 ballots that showed up on election day, that request was denied. The question about the role those 33 ballots played remains unanswered. We intend to reach out to the district attorney and the Secretary of State to respond to our reporting. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kowaleski.